Good afternoon, Mr. Magana. Today, Miguel and I will be doing a chart presentation on our environmental impact assessment final presentation. And our title is Sustainable Wind Energy Within the Rural South of Belize. What will be covered during this presentation is that we'll be giving some information on the introduction, project overview, which is the goal and objectives, methodology, which is composed of the study site, methods, as well as the data analysis, the work plan of the study, the estimated budget, as well as mitigation measures and monitoring. We'll be discussing on the expected results, the alternatives, limitations that can be encountered, and a short conclusion. So energy comes from naturally replenished resources like sunlight, the wind, the water, geothermal heat, as well as biomass. So unlike fossil fuels, these sources, they are sustainable, they are environmentally friendly, as well as they are critical for reducing the global greenhouse gas emissions. They also represent a important step towards a cleaner as well as a more sustainable future. And there are different types of renewable energy, which are solar, wind, hydrological, geothermal, and biological. So the solar energy captures sunlight to produce electricity or heat. It is clean, abundant, as well as affordable with advancement in the solar panel technology. Wind energy uses the kinetic energy of moving air to generate electricity through turbines. So it is one of the most efficient as well as rapidly growing renewable sources. The hydropower harnesses the energy of flowing water, such as the rivers or dams, to generate electricity. It is reliable as well as provides a large-scale energy production. The fourth one is geothermal. So geothermal energy taps into the Earth's heat to produce electricity or provide direct heating. It is steady baseload energy source. Also, the biological biomass energy derives from organic materials like it can be wood, agricultural crops, as well as animal waste. And it can be used for heating, electricity, or also fuel production. So the question is, why use renewable energy? So renewable energy is essential for different reasons. One of them is that it significantly reduces the carbon emissions, helping to combat the issue of climate change. Also, it is cost effective in the long run as resources like wind and sunlight, they are free. And also it aligns with the sustainable development goals by promoting energy access and reducing environmental impacts, thus supporting global efforts towards a more greener economy. The wind energy project directly supports the Sustainable Development Goal number 7, which focuses on ensuring access to affordable, reliable, as well as sustainable energy for all by reducing reliance on imported electricity and embracing clean energy. This project contributes to a greener and more energy secure future for Belize. The goal and objectives of this project. The project's primary goal is to introduce a sustainable energy source by integrating wind turbines into Belize's national grid, reducing reliance on costly imported electricity. Key objectives include promoting sustainable development, enhancing local development through job creation, engaging communities for inclusive growth, ensuring seamless electricity grid integration, as well as maintaining long-term sustainability through effective operational practices.
Now for the methodology section of the EIA project. This study site will be located in the rural parts of the Cayo district, whereby this area has a high dense of elevation, which is key for the wind turbines, and using high elevation would only allow for the wind turbines to get the proper speed needed for electrical generation. It is optimal to choose a suitable area for these wind turbines, since placing them within other areas would only cause disturbance such as noise and other key factors such as less minimal electrical generation of power. The area will be located on the outskirts of the Belmopan city, whereby there is a lot of elevation around these areas, which will be key in the construction of the wind turbines. And the area is mostly composed of repair of forests and broadleaf forest, whereby it will be cleared and will be assessed before the development of the wind turbines. And many communities nearby will be informed as to how far they will be from the area, since we don't want to create a disturbance for them. For the first portion of the vegetation assessment, the key method that will be used will be the PCQM method, which develops a use of the transit line, whereby it will be stretched out for 150 meters. Around 3 to 4 transits will be deployed. Each of these transits will consist of 150 meters, whereby in them there will be intervals around 10 meters, and at each 10-meter point, 4 quadrants will be established: A, B, C, and D respectively. And once these quadrants are established, the nearest tree within these quadrants will be marked, the height, the distance from the point to the tree, and the DBH of the tree, which will also be collected. The vegetation assessment is for the assessment of the biodiversity of the tree species within the area, to see if there are any key species within the area which can be of use, or any disturbance of the habitats in place of the which will be due to the development. As for an assessment on wildlife within the area, we expect to see not many disturbance of wildlife, even though the area is a prominent area for wildlife. We expect to see a high biodiversity of wildlife. We don't expect to disturb any key species, such as any endangered species within Belize. A total of around 10 cameras will be randomly placed within the study site, whereby each camera will be facing a direction, and the camera height will vary depending on the species we are trying to capture. And depending on the type of species we capture, we will assess the areas if we are disturbing any key species that might roam around the area or pass within the area. This will give us a clear insight as to the wildlife that passes through within the area, and many key informatives of why we do this is to assess the kind of species within the area. Now for the water quality monitoring, which will be used to examine any water body within the area. This will be done in order to establish a key parameter or baseline data as to how is the state of the river or any water body within the area, to give us an exact key insight into how the river stands at the point before development. And we can also assess the river's parameters after development to see if there have been any changes, any significant changes due to the development. And once this is done, we will be using macroinvertebrates as indicators, since many of these biological macroorganisms are key because of their high resilience to parameters such as pollution, especially. If anything were to pollute them, there will be indicators, since many of these macroorganisms are used as indicators. And we will also study the physiochemical parameters of the water, such as pH, turbidity, salinity of the water, and oxygen level, which will be key in estimating the health of the river system. Now for the data analysis portion of whereby we assess all the information gathered. The first key software that will be used will be SPSS to gather data on the transits that we have collected and see if there is any significance as to the difference in biodiversity within these transits. And then we will also incorporate RStudio, which is a key software which will give us proper insight into how we can see the difference in species and any abundance or rarity within the amount of species that we have collected. And this will give us a better visual insight into how we should